This is a piece of dinosaur horn. It sat no more than 13 centimeters under the asteroid's line, 5 inches. 3 meters of empty rock, 30 years of nothing, and one horn takes the whole case apart.
The rock is in southeastern Montana. Hell Creek Formation, 68 to 66 million years ago. This was a low, wet coastal plain. Rivers, floodplains, forest, and an inland sea off to the east.
Somewhere in that stack of mud sits a line. Below it, dinosaurs. Above it, none. Not here. Not anywhere. Not one non-bird dinosaur ever again. It's the most important horizontal line on the planet, and it looks like absolutely nothing.
You can't spot it by eye. You collect dirt, you send it to a lab, and you let the pollen tell you where it is.
Which is a strange way to find the end of a world. Hang on to this, because it comes back at the end. There's a second empty gap out there. Not below the line, above it, and nobody has explained that one yet.
In 1980, 2 paleontologists put a name on a hole in the record, the 3-meter gap. Dig down from the boundary, and the last 10 feet of the Cretaceous comes up empty. No dinosaurs, sitting where they died, anywhere in it.
In 1986, a team published in Science and built an extinction out of it. Dinosaurs fading out slowly, while the early hoofed mammals moved in. Read it that way. And the asteroid shows up to an empty house. Which is a heck of a plot twist. The murder weapon arrives after the victim's already gone.
And that wasn't a fringe idea. It ran in Science, and the gap kept its name for the next 30 years.
Before we take it apart, it deserves a fair hearing. If dinosaurs were still walking around when the sky fell, their bones should be in that last 10 feet of rock. Nobody found any. Not one. Sitting in place for decades.
That's not a crank theory. That's a lot of careful people reading exactly what the rock gave them, and the rock kept giving them nothing. So the gap did what a good piece of evidence does. It made a prediction. If dinosaurs really made it to the impact, somebody should eventually pull one out of that top layer.
I do have a sticker that says Last Dinosaur. It's been on 4 different fossils this month. Here's the first problem. They were measuring from the wrong line.
There is a line you can see out there. It's where the Hell Creek rock stops and the Fort Union rock starts. It's obvious, it's mappable, so that's what people measured from. The real boundary, the pollen one, wanders. Depending on where you're standing, it sits anywhere from 5 meters below that visible contact to 3 meters above it.
So 3 meters below the boundary sometimes meant 3 meters below something else entirely.
The horn from Montana sat about 4 feet under the visible contact. Under the actual boundary, 13 centimeters at the most.
Same fossil. Same hillside. 2 completely different stories, depending on which line you trust. Okay, this is the good part.
A find like this only counts if the bone was there the whole time. Rivers cut into old banks and dump ancient bones into younger mud constantly. This one was in a silty floodplain mudstone. That's the quiet stuff. The mud that settles when a river spills over its banks. Low energy. Nothing down there was moving a horn that size.
It's a brow horn from a horned dinosaur, about 18 inches long, probably a triceratops, since the neighborhood is full of them. But a piece of horn won't even get you to the genus. It stops at the family.
Then they went after the boundary itself. Sediment samples above and below the horn, less than 4 inches apart. 3 checks. Cretaceous pollen dropping off and never recovering. A spike of fern spores right on top, and a match to a section down the road where the iridium from the asteroid was already published.
The team called it the stratigraphically youngest in situ dinosaur specimen. In situ means it never moved. Not the last dinosaur. They were careful. The headlines were not. Sticker comes off. But here's the part that rewires your head. Even if that gap had been real, it wouldn't have meant what everybody thought it meant.
There's a rule in paleontology from 1982. The fossil record is full of holes. So the first member of a group and the last member of a group almost certainly never made it into the record at all. And that does something sneaky. It makes a sudden extinction look gradual. just about every time.
The rock doesn't do endings. It fades out, like a band that won't leave the stage. So an empty zone under the boundary isn't evidence against a sudden extinction. It's exactly what a sudden extinction is supposed to look like.
The Montana team piled on a second reason. Bones that close to the boundary only turn up in that quiet floodplain mud. In the old river channels, they said, we're never going to find them.
Last time, a riverbed that recorded the first hour. This time, 13 centimeters under the line. Now here's one thing this horn doesn't settle. We're dinosaurs already gone before the impact, and we're dinosaurs on their way down. Those are two different questions. The horn kills the first one. The second one is still a fight. 4 teams. 3 say no. 1 says yes, in order.
2019. Habitat modeling across North America says, suitable dinosaur habitat wasn't shrinking. Only the patches we can dig today were. 2020. A different team ran the global record and found no strong evidence of a decline, and not enough data to say what would have happened if the asteroid had missed.
2021. 6 big dinosaur families worldwide, and this time the answer is a decline, starting about 10 million years before the impact. Their explanation is a cooling climate, with plant eaters dropping off first. So that's the one vote for a slow fade. Hold it a second.
April 2025. Back to North America. More than 8,000 fossils, 4 families. The odds of finding a fossil crashed over the last 6 million years of the Cretaceous. The amount of ground those animals actually covered held steady. Horned dinosaurs even went up.
Rough translation. If that last one's right, the animals were fine. The rocks got worse. Big, if... Then, October 2025. In Science. A site in New Mexico, dated right up against the boundary. The last 380,000 years of the Cretaceous.
And the animals down there are not the Montana crowd. The big one is Alamosaurus, a long-necked sauropod. Estimates run from about 30 to 80 tons.
That spread is the answer. Nobody's weighed one. Hell Creek doesn't have sauropods at all. So the last stretch of the Cretaceous in North America wasn't one flat scene. It had regions with different animals in them. And for decades, we've been reading the whole planet's obituary off one formation in the northern plains.
Their own caveat, and it's a good one. Almost nothing is securely dated to those final few 100,000 years, and the record leans hard on the northern continents.
Which brings us back to the second gap. Right above the line, there's about 4 feet of the earliest Paleocene, and there isn't a single vertebrate fossil in it. The same team that closed the gap below flagged that one and said, "We don't know yet." Same number, wrong side of the line. And this time, nobody has a horn.
And the actual last dinosaur, that rule from 1982 says we're almost certainly never going to find it. It died somewhere, nobody is digging, or nothing came along to bury it.
Take your pick. Either way, it's not in a drawer. So the sticker goes on the empty frame, which is the honest version of this story. And I'll take it. So where do you land? Dinosaurs limping toward the impact, or dinosaurs doing fine right up until the sky fell? Tell me below, and tell me what convinced you.
There's a bigger question sitting right on top of this one. What that day actually looked like. We'll get there.
Subscribe, and keep your facts straight with Stick and